Hey, it's SJ and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. My name is Sarah Jane and I share with you guys my debt-free journey. I started this journey in March of 2021 and my goal is to become debt-free. This series is called Money Mondays, and so I push out new videos on Mondays. I thought I would share with you guys how I spent some of the additional income I received in March. So that would include my federal tax returns, my state tax returns, and the stimulus bill. The stimulus bill, if you didn't catch my last video, I was really surprised to get because I didn't receive the previous ones. They're originally taking my 2019 tax return, which I didn't qualify. So when I did my taxes this year for 2020, they received my most recent income from last year, where I did lose my job and it was financially a hard time. And I then qualified for the stimulus bill, and so I received it. I just want everyone to know that I filed my taxes like either the day before or the day of the bill getting passed, and I still received the stimulus. So if you are, you know, unsure if you're gonna receive it or not, and because you're in a similar situation as I am, I did, and so I would just maybe give it time if you're, you know, waiting to receive yours or hoping to receive yours. All right, so let's start with my federal tax return. So my total in federal taxes was $1,400, which is great. So I'm gonna break down where it went. So $300 I went ahead and set aside because I used to live in New York City, and that is where I got my unemployment. And I know that there's a lot of talks about changing this, and we'll see if that happens, but because of that, I was taxed, and so I owe New York $300 from unemployment. So I've set aside that money. We'll see if anything changes, but for right now, that money is set aside for taxes. I then set aside $700, and I'm probably gonna get some hate, is what it is, but I set it aside for a bachelorette party, and I know that, yeah, please don't at me. I don't need that kind of negativity in my life, but I feel like I should explain, maybe since I'm sharing this journey with you. I used to be in the military. I was always gone. I was always deployed. I was always training. I wasn't really here, and I lost a lot of connections with a lot of my friends. One of my promises to myself in getting out of the military was that I was going to make it to those events that are important. And my friend, my close friend, you know, for over 10 years now, is getting married, and I'm actually able to be here for the wedding and for the bachelorette party. And I made the decision that I am on this financial journey, but that doesn't negate the fact that I made that promise to myself that for special occasions like this, I was gonna be there for it. So I wanted to make sure that I could pay for the bachelorette party in cash, and so I've set aside what I think is an appropriate amount. If it's too much, I will then take the extra money and put it towards my debt. But for right now, I have set that money aside. I've really thought about this. I know that you're not supposed to do anything crazy while you're paying off your debt, but that is a decision I've made, and I stand by it. Moving on. I took $300 from my federal tax returns and I put it towards my car debt, and then $100 I kept because I wanted to get, like, I needed some new jeans and some shelves in my home because I recently moved into this place, and so that went to that. So that's how I spent my federal tax return. Moving on to my state tax return. So my state tax return, I received $600. So $200 went to, like, since I recently moved here, I had to register my car, and I had to do like safety inspections, and so all that cost money. So I put $200 towards that, $200 towards my car debt, and then $200 I ended up spending on like a special occasion gift for my boyfriend, because we've been together for quite some time and I wanted to be able to pay for that in cash. Last up on my additional March income is the stimulus bill, which once again was not expecting, but so glad it happened. So where it went, there's $1,400 for the stimulus bill. $645 of it went towards my car debt. $355 I put aside for my flight to the bachelorette party because it is not local, it is in Georgia, and I wanted to be able to make sure I could pay for that in cash. I since putting this money aside, I actually tried to use my points to buy the plane ticket, but it still was like over the threshold of points I have, which is crazy because I had 20,000 points. So I still had to use the $355 for that. But at least I made it cheaper because the $355 was not enough for the flight. Anyways, I put $300 towards a sinking fund. I know in the Dave Ramsey method, you don't contribute money towards things like emergency funds and sinking funds until after you finished off your debt payment. But as someone who has lived through a pandemic and had a financial backlash from a pandemic, I personally do not feel comfortable only having that $1,000 set aside as Dave Ramsey preaches. I understand why he does that, and I think it's great. That was not written during a pandemic, and that I've experienced that. And I don't feel comfortable with just having $1,000 set aside. Not enough. So I am going to contribute money towards a sinking fund, because that makes me feel more comfortable with where we are at currently with the world. Maybe as things like settle down and open up and like I'm going back into the office for work, I will then take that money out of a sinking fund and move it towards debt. But for right now, I am contributing to a sinking fund and I stand by that. And then $100, the last $100 for the stimulus bill I set aside because I am starting school here very soon and I'm going to need money for books because I want to pay as much as possible in cash, and I'm going to be taking student loans, but if I can pay some things in cash, I'm going to try to do that. Which brings me into why I am, you know, trying to pay off my debt as soon as possible. In case you missed my previous videos, I am going to school. I calculated that by the time I finish school, I would have then 3 debts, and that would be financially challenging to juggle 3 debts of those magnitudes. So instead, I wanted to put a lot of effort into paying off as much of my debt as possible, specifically getting the car out of the way, my car loan, which I made an update video in my last video if you want to check that out. But if I'm able to get at least my car paid off, when I do start having to pay back on my student debt, it won't be as big of a financial burden. It's still gonna be a financial burden, but it'll be a one that I can manage versus like if I had car loan, credit card debt, and student payments, like that would just be like a lot and I think it would kill me. So, so yeah. So anyways, that is how I spent my money on my additional income that I received in March from my tax returns and my stimulus bill. If you don't agree with the way that I spent my money, that's fine. I'm doing it in a way that I think is best for me and that works for me. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. This is how I spend my money and I stand by it because I really thought about all these decisions before making them. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give this video a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe so you are in tune with my budget journey. And that's about it. I'll see you guys later in another Money Mondays. Bye.